I want to come to the part of my life which I've titled When I Was at Infant School. So, the age of 4, I was headed off to Westfield Infant First School from 1956 to 1959, so ages 4 to 7. My memory is very good for events and conversations I seem to remember very well. But many years later, I was to discover that I have a form of dyslexia, which means word blindness, and is an the old-fashioned word for it, for dyslexia, was called, as I say, word blindness. And it's a learning disorder that affects reading, writing. It describes the inability to interpret written or printed language. Despite having normal vision and intelligence, well, that may be debated, I don't know, but modern understanding focuses on difficulties with numerological processing, which is relating to the system of contrastive relationships among speech sounds and that constitute the fundamental components of a language. Well, there'd have been no good explaining that to me in those days. But anyway, it can manifest itself as problems with letter sound and correspondence, spelling, reading fluency. But as I said, somehow I do have a good memory and events, conversations, and that, so maybe that compensated for the other. But by then, our family was living on an estate which was called Overslade, but was later on nicknamed Tin Town, due again to austerity measures after the Second World War, where building houses that were designed to use available materials. These houses were more than just permanent. They were permanent rather than the prefabs we'd lived in earlier. And I can remember quite spacious, big windows, letting plenty of sunshine, and a large garden for my dad to grow homegrown vegetables. And we lived in Mellish Road, which was a back road to Harry School, or still is, and where at this time we hold our Rugby Elim Church Sunday morning services. I just lived 3 doors from the old entrance, which had a hockey pitch, and then the school. There's some houses there now, and so it would have been very handy, but wasn't to be. And later on, I wasn't even to go to that school. I went to another one. But anyway, well, I wasn't long at my infant school when I used to be able to go on my own and everything, and discovered I needed glasses for my eyes, as I was and have been ever since short-sighted. Well, more than short-sighted, as other things as well, ended up with glaucoma. But anyway, I certainly was, apparently I was tripping over things at school. Another blessing was my big feet. And so my glasses didn't completely fix my tripping over. But anyway, they took me to the opticians, and I've been wearing glasses ever since. Which leads me to dyspraxia. Although never being diagnosed with any of these conditions, I can recognise them in my life experience. So dyspraxia, what's that? It's also known as development coordination disorder. It's a neurological condition that affects motor coordination and movement. It results from a disruption in the way the brain transmits messages to the body, making it difficult to plan and execute smooth movements. Dyspraxia can affect both gross motor skills, like playing sports, and fine motor skills, like writing, and may also be associated with difficulties in speech. Well, I don't think I had a problem with that one. But anyway, language and perception may have been one of the problems I faced in those days. So I say this not for you to feel sorry for me. It just explains how things used to happen. You know, things used to fall apart in the hand and that sort of thing. And my dad always used to say that well, both parents, I was clumsy. I used to drop things and that sort of thing. And I have what they call an elongation in my feet and hands. And for my feet, I went to hospital for a while and did some exercises, I remember. And I don't know what that was all about, but I remember going there, and that's what they say. So, but I do remember going to St Luke's Hospital in Rugby when I was about 3 or 4, so around this time, and years old, and having my tonsils and adenoids out. I was dropped off in the hospital and had the operation after 3 days, and they collected me and took me home. And that's how they did it in those days. Your parents didn't go in there and sit with you or anything. I mean, my daughter, when she had her tonsils out, my wife was there and nursed her and everything else. But no day, they just dropped you off and left you there for 3 days. So, not surprisingly, I bawled my eyes out and was crying. And I remember a nurse saying words to the effect, if he keeps going on like this, his mother will hear him. And apparently when I got home, I was quiet for a while. I must have been absolutely traumatized by the whole experience, but there we are, that's how things happen. One lasting memory stands out in my infant first school, and I was there for 3 years, as I say, and it's known as the Water Brook, or the Brook. Yes, I was fascinated by a brook that separated the grass common ground that I was walking through. And yes, there were 2 good bridges that I could cross over, but nothing compared, especially going home from school. I think I wasn't too bad going to school, but certainly coming home from school, nothing compared to the fun of jumping over the brook, not just once, but several times over the brook. And yes, you guessed it, my feet finally landed in a pile of mud. And no matter how many times I went home with muddy shoes, feet, and sometimes my trousers, and got a real telling off from my mum, and the odd hiding, and no doubt sent to bed, everything else. Maybe after a few days, I'd do it all over again. So for 3 years, this went on. I still don't know if I stopped or just going to my junior school brought this episode to an end. And so there you are. And so that was that experience, and my mother never forgot that, and neither did I. I made some school friends while I was there, which would take me through my whole school life. We both certainly weren't the brightest, but at times we were very good at getting into trouble, and some of them got into real trouble, as we'll see later on. About this time, Rugby Elim Church began on my radar. My first memory, which stands out of the church, is my dad taking me to the Christmas party. That's sort of the first time I can remember. And we had a great time at this Christmas party. And Father Christmas came with some presents afterwards, and so that's how it was. So that was my 3 junior school years, and I did reasonably well, or I thought I did. I don't know what they thought, but so that was that. So my life was beginning, and I was learning some lessons, and my parents were realising what lad they had. My sister, she's lovely, she's still is, and I'm so fond of her and love her. And my parents used to say to me, "Why can't you be like your sister? She's nice, you know." I seem to remember that actually when I was younger, she wanted to hug and kiss me, and I wouldn't let her, so she would hit me. So there you go. And but she's lovely, and I'm still blessed to have her in my life. So there you have it.